All right, man. Let's get down to business on this
Yes,
luchador
sir.
talk real fast. So
Let's.
thank you very much for doing this and chatting this out a little bit with
Dude,
me.
my pleasure.
It's This whole luchador ride has been a lot of fun. It's a huge roller coaster. I personally love seeing all of this thing that I wrote and sort of dreamed up a long time ago come to life in all these different ways. What aside from me hitting you up and saying, hey, do you want to draw a comic, what attracted you
Always.
to the project?
Actually, you got me thinking about that. First, you got the name Luchador, and you might think this is a wrestling thing. But I realized later on that when I start reading the script, it's not so much about the wrestling. We do have some badass sequences and some action and some really nice settings, but it's mostly about people struggling to somehow let's say survive or move along in their lives. But you see Lisa trying to get his kid back in this. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's like a situation, not the best situation. Then you got Andrew, who's also having some trouble at work. Let's call it that way. And then you got all these characters that in this whole city or setting that we have, they are struggling, and I think that's part of the lucha. Let's call it that way. We're using the luchador thing as a metaphor, but the whole struggling, because it's something you see every day. Well, actually here, yes, in Argentina every day, but it's something you can relate. If you only have, I mean, there's a reason why I'm not super fond of superheroes. I do read superhero comic books and I like to draw them, but it's not really getting to my core. It's something that you see them, it's like small gods moving around in like a regular setting of people. These kind of stories are the ones that I can do relate, and I can think, okay, this person, in this case Lisa or whoever it is, Andrew, is having like a rough time. How can he overcome this hard situation? And without big superpowers or whatever, I mean, how they will fight their way out of that situation. That's my thinking. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of funny to me. I thought of obviously I thought of luchador, and it all just sort of made sense to me, and I didn't sort of really think about why. But I had a good friend of mine, the artist June the Goon. He read the script, and what he said to me is, he goes, "Oh man," he's like, "I think the title fits perfectly because everybody is fighting for something in their own way, And I was like, and in my head I went, man, I'd love to take credit for it, but
you should, man. You should say, yeah. That's all my plan.
But yeah, I think I know for me that it's the whole title is based on fighting and fighters and stuff like that. But and yeah, much like you, I love comic books. I grew up on three very specific things as a kid, which was professional wrestling, comic books, and a lot of crime fiction. So and like private detective stories and stuff like that. When I was young, I used to read a lot of James Elroy and Raymond Chandler and just all these old classic crime.
What happened that you turned out to be a comic book writer, man?
Right?
When did you lose the path?
So I loved those guys, and I loved comic books and superheroes and stuff naturally, and I also loved professional wrestling, and it just seemed to me that professional wrestling and comic books sort of occupied the same world. And I also remember when I was growing up, I used to watch all these like the El Santo movies and the El Santo movies.
Yeah.
And I used to always wonder, like, why don't these people shoot them with guns? Why don't they like stab them with knives?
Come on, man. And it's like right there in your face.
Yeah. And so, you know, everything sort of synthesized for me in Luchador, and it became this really neat mix of not superheroes per se, but definitely super powered beings, or like highly powered beings, and crime fiction, and a touch of wrestling in there, you know.
Of course, it all came to, well, actually, you're gonna laugh about this, but working on this series and doing some wrestling commissions and everything triggers some memories that I have like super blurred. That when I was a kid, I used to watch all the WWE like Saturday morning or something like that here in Argentina. They play those fights, and I was like, wait a minute, I know those guys. I have toys about those guys. The $1 Million Man, the guy with the snake.
Ted
the Blast, all those guys. And I was like, shit, I know this stuff. It was like all along inside me, man. Super fun.
I think everybody has a little bit of experience with pro wrestling and a little bit of experience with comic books, and even, you know, even crime stories to a degree. Also, I grew up in a lot of, you know, very urban settings and very sort of dangerous sort of city areas, and stuff like that. And so crime and crime fiction has always had this sort of weird natural appeal to me. And they're all sort of my inspirations. And so I guess you could say that was my research for all of this. Did you do anything in specific when you started, you know, putting all the pages and doing the art together and coming up with any of the character designs?
Yeah, well, actually, I think we've talked about the process. Once I get the script from you or some bits of the script, I start reading it, giving like 2 or 3 passes of reading it, and I start doing like small thumbnails of how the pages are going to look. Then I start looking for some reference, like real reference from, I don't know, vehicles, cities, some outfits and everything. Then I get those really helpful and useful folder from you with the reference from actors, actresses, and to have some general idea of the characters. I bounce you back the
help for all that.
I bounce you back the character designs based on those, and then we just start moving forward. But even though when I'm working, I'm still always looking for reference from different settings, and you might want to show that later. I like to draw the designs of the settings because that helps me to somehow choreograph the whole action or sequence that's going to take place in that area. And I don't know if that helps you too, but I do it mostly for me because I need to somehow visualize where the characters are going to move.
Yeah, actually, that is something I do. I keep my own little I make my own little sets of thumbnails and stuff for myself, and like page layouts. Not because I think they're going to be better than yours in any way, shape, or form, but just because it helps me sort of figure out what's supposed to be on that page, and it helps me write the script a little bit better. And so it definitely really helps, and I love seeing your thumbnails too, especially in when I'm looking at mine, where it's like, oh, I didn't think about that at all. Or even where it's like, oh, I guess I kind of got a little close there.
I mean, man, please, we're both bringing something from both of us. You on the script, me on the artwork, but it's like a collaboration. You don't think that, please do not think that this is my part. Don't talk about this. Dude, it's a collaboration, and if we can bounce back ideas, that's always helpful, and I think that makes the project even better. But yeah, like I said, little thumbnails for me to have a general design of the page, and then I send you the layouts, which are more polished, and then I jump when I get them approved, I jump onto pencils and then final inks. But yeah, I always try to send some of the different process and the steps of the process, because I don't want to. I mean, it's not that I don't want to surprise you, but I do want you to see what I'm doing and how we're moving forward, and if we're doing it all right. I mean, I do respect the work of the writer, the editors, and the whole team, because I think, like I said, it's a collaboration. It's not like, okay, I get the script, you get the page, the final pages when I'm done, because no, it's part of the process, makes the whole process more organic, and I think that leads to a better result. I mean, that's my point of view.
Yeah, that's actually something I agree with as well, because I feel like everybody's really bringing their best to the project. That on this project, I really do. I really feel like everybody's bringing their best to the project, and I feel like there's a couple different reasons for it. I feel like everybody really likes the project, and I also feel like everybody, you know, has, you know, feels like they are being heard, and that they are contributing to it in their own sort of unique way. And that's definitely how I look at it. I'm always open to ideas, especially if it can make the script better. I'm not so precious about my story or my role, to you know, not hear out a good idea and then want to run with that and work it in,
Makes sense.
something like that.
Yeah, I worked with a scriptwriter some time ago, and he had this idea that when he handed you the script, he was telling you the story, and when you handed him the artwork, you were telling his story through your words. So it was like a back and forth, and I think that's had some truth in it.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. Yeah, and it's always, like I said, it's a lot of fun working through the process, and I think that's the thing that comes to me off the page the most, is that there's just a lot of fun in the comic itself. You know, I've heard the phrase "joyless comics" quite a bit as of late.
Yeah, let's avoid that.
Yeah, and I think that there are a lot. I really do. I think that there are a lot of joyless comics out there, of people just working on it because it's the next project in front of their face, and they're just trying to get it done. And I don't feel that way about this one, and I really enjoy going through all of this process with you and everybody else. That being said, I got to get to, who is your favorite character, man? Because I think we got some really cool ones.
Well, I do like King Jaguar because of the possibilities he might have. I mean, we are prepping the moment, no spoilers, but it's gonna come something big really soon.
Yeah.
But you know, as a character, like, he's going to get down to business soon.
Yeah.
But I do like Andrew too, because he's kind of like one of us. He might have some trouble at the office. He had a boss that's, you know, kicking his ass, and you know, he tries to avoid or you know, clear his mind doing something else. In this case, you know, watching pro wrestling. I mean, super fun. That's what I like about Andrew. But I think Liz is a great character too. I mean, who's my favorite character? I can choose. It's like, who's your favorite son? That's not possible. But yeah, I mean, they all have their strengths, and it's super fun to draw them all, because every character has their own little detail, their little thing. And again, something I've been telling you, and I tell again, I do appreciate all the artistic freedom you gave me through the process, because like we talked about it. I think right now we are both more comfortable with the characters than, you know, the previous issue, and you know, it's like they are now ours, and we can understand how they will be acting.
Yeah.
That's the thing, man. I mean, they say that you're supposed to get the grip on the characters around in issue 4 or 5 or something like that, and I was like, no, dude, I'm not really working. You know, I'm feeling comfortable with these characters. But you know, I think that's like what you said, those joyless comics, when you have to somehow work on those projects. But this is something we created from scratch, or at least with a little reference, and I do feel much comfortable right now than maybe when we started. Not because it was harder, but I feel them like we owe them now.
Yeah, I know that for me, the first character that I came up with was King Jaguar, and it wasn't necessarily the Luchador story itself. It was like some other, luchador stories around the one that we're currently working on. But yeah, he was the first character that I came up with, and I think as far as looks go, he's probably my favorite. I love that. I love that lucha mask and the suit.
I know.
There's just something. There's just something that's always been so appealing to me about that. I remember seeing, and I think I got the inspiration for it from, I can't remember where I was, but I was in this restaurant, and there was just this picture of 3 luchadors sitting on this big couch. One guy is sitting in the front kind of like this, and the other 2 dudes are sort of sitting back on the couch.
Super cool.
And I remember looking at that, and I was just like, that is a really cool looking poster. And I kept trying, or like photo or whatever, and I kept trying to find a copy of it so I could own it. And I never saw it again. Like, the restaurant closed down shortly afterwards, and that picture was just in my head for so long. And it's really probably the origin of a lot of things.
Nice. You know? The origin story of Luchador.
A little bit, you know, and then there are definitely chunks of Andrew which are just straight from my life, you know,
life based on reality
that I've experienced. As like a little spoiler for everybody, the car that Andrew drives was my car for
a while. All right.
And
I got the ref correctly.
It was not the nicest car. It did not stay together very well or anything like that. But in all honesty, I really got to say that I think the character that I really think is the coolest out of them all, I really think it's probably Lisa. You know, there's something about, you know, her motivations within the story, and you know, her skill and her abilities and the way that she handles herself and the way that she, you know, and just everything that she is, that I really enjoy about that character. And you know, she is a huge driving factor in a lot of this story. So, you know, I'm really proud of that character, and I think she might be the coolest one in this story, personally.
Yeah, the thing is, you like we said, she's like a regular person fighting their way out of different situations without any power, with anything like super you know, extraordinary. Her kicking butt to get, should I spoil about his son, or should I not spoil about his son?
Not yet. Let's hold off on that one. Well, all right, we'll come back to that.
People will need to read this to find out what happened to Lisa.
Yeah, they definitely have to read it anyways. But you never know. We may be nice and spoil it in another place, in another fashion. So, well, hey, Agus,
she's a badass.
Man, thanks so much for chatting with me about this, and it's been an absolute joy and pleasure to work with you on this comic and to collaborate with you in all these different ways. And I'm excited to keep making issues of Luchador. I'm excited that we're well on our way into issue number 2, and you know, we've already got 8 more scripts ready to go and kind of in the can.
I'm working on layouts right now. I sent you a few layouts today.
They look fantastic, by the way. They look amazing. They look amazing.
Cool. Yeah, I'm planning to.
It's an awesome action sequence.
Well, that final scene is quite long, and I think people will really like.
I think they're gonna lose their minds about it because it's looking amazing.
Pretty much
so far. So, well, all right, Agus. I'm gonna let you get going. But thanks, man. Thanks again, and we'll talk again very soon.
Whenever you want, man. I'm here drawing Luchador stuff, and when I'm not doing that, I'm teaching classes, and when I'm not doing that, perhaps I'll be sleeping a little bit. Not too much.
Well, hey, man, no pressure. Get some sleep, dude. We need you doing
No, please. In all honesty, I think I'm getting old because I'm sleeping less hours to get back to work and, you know, draw more stuff like old people do. But, you know, I'm not complaining. I really like that.
Yeah, that's the life. All right, man.